After you install the ASIO drivers, you have outs 1 and 2, which are left and right, and 3 and 4, which are an optional another output left and right. Yeah, all we have to do is switch the headphone output to USB 1 and 2, which are the output from the computer. But we're still not actually sending any audio out because it's sending the left and right mix instead of the USB inputs that are coming in to the MixPre-6 II from the computer. So we navigate to the output menu, select left output to output USB 1 and the right output to output USB 2. And still nothing because we haven't set up the audio coming back into the MixPre-6 II from the Empress Reverb. So I'm linking 1 and 2 into a stereo pair just to make things easier and setting the input to a line signal coming from the effect. So as I go back to the headphone output that you're listening to and turn it to left and right instead of USB 1 and 2, and then I turn up the gain, you can begin to hear the wet signal come in. So that way I can hear the wet signal exclusively and screw with it however I want on the hardware and just instantly hear what I'm doing and switch between the wet and dry signal by switching the headphone output to either left or right, which is wet, or USB 1 and 2, which is dry. How all of the routing works depends on your DAW, obviously. I'm using Cakewalk by BandLab, which is a successor of Sonar, which I've used forever. But the general principle should be the same in whatever you're using. Each channel has an input and an output, and in this case the output would be USB 1 and 2, or 3 and 4, which we're not using, so just 1 and 2 here. So I'm going to switch the output of both tracks, the empty and the one that has the audio that I'm affecting obviously, to 1 and 2, output 1 and 2, and I'm going to switch the empty track's input to input 1 and 2, which is coming from the reverb. And you can see the signal in the blank track that's actually the left and right, what we're hearing in the left and right headphone mix. I don't think the metronome matters, but I'm not sure either way, and it's annoying, and so I'm just going to turn it off. Now, the way this is working is basically anything with an output of 1 and 2 is being sent to the reverb and then back into the computer and input 1 and 2. So you can record any number of things together coming out of output 1 and 2, all mashed together into whatever effect you want and then coming back in and recorded to a single channel. And of course, you can change the headphone output to either left and right or 1 and 2 so that you can hear the dry or wet mix, whichever one you want to hear. And just like that, you have total control over what's going out and what's going in. The plus here is that it works and it sounds great. It doesn't sound wrong or noisy in any way, which was one of my major concerns when I tried this. So I'm glad to have it working well. The downside is obviously that it's an unbalanced 3.5mm jack, which can produce extra noise. Though honestly, if you're sending to effects, you probably won't hear any of that noise. It'll be covered up in whatever effect you're applying. And the other downside is pretty obvious, is that you're using the stereo out to get the signal out of the thing into the effect in the first place, so you can't use speakers out of the stereo out. You can use the headphone output to speakers, presumably. I mean, I output the headphone output into my camera and then listen through my camera's output. So it's a pretty clean output from there that you could conceivably use. But if you want to use both headphones and speakers, it's gonna be a pain in the ass to switch between them. But the fact that it works at all, honestly, is kind of surprising, especially considering that all of this was in low power mode, which is what happens when it's not getting enough power. It's exclusive, I think, to the MixPre-6 and 3, possibly the older models as well as the 2 versions, but as I understand it, the MixPre-10 doesn't have a low power mode, and what's kind of impressive about the MixPre-6 II here is that it's being powered entirely on from the computer from a USB-A 3.0, whatever the blue ones are. I have it hooked up to a single one of those USB spots, and that's powering the entire thing.